Hey, what if you're not burned out? What if you're just bored? You see, sometimes leaders think they're exhausted when really they're just under challenged. This is the person that, you've mastered the role, you've built the system, you've earned the respect, but deep down, you're on cruise control. And here's the truth. You cannot inspire others if you've stopped being curious yourself.
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Jeff Hancher, your biggest fan, and I am on a mission to help others lead, inspire, and win in this life. I wanted to talk to you today about a recent conversation that I had with a leader. I'm not going to give up his identity, but let's just call him Mark. That's not his name. Mark, he's been in this executive role now for about a decade. Sharp fella. I mean, polished, knows his stuff. Very respected in his organization. I would tell you very respected in his community and very successful. Everybody knows his name. Everybody knows the brand. Customers love him. The balance sheet looks great. And, we connected because there was some challenges that Mark was going through. And as we talked, I could sense something from Mark. He wasn't enthusiastic in his leadership anymore. And he said to me, Jeff, I don't think I'm burned out, because that's what the conversation was heading towards, was this, I might be burned out. I'm not really sure. He's like, no, I'm not burned out, but I just don't feel the fire that I used to have. I'm not as creative as I once was. He's like, Jeff, I would never say this openly in public, but I just don't have the hunger that I once had to make this thing go. After a few minutes, I told him something that made him sit up a little straighter in his chair. I said, Mark, I don't think you're burned out at all. I think you're bored. He laughed a little bit, chuckled, like, how could I be bored? Look at all the stuff I have going on. I mean, I got plenty to do. But then he went quiet a little bit because he had a moment to think about this. And we had a little bit of a time of reflection, because the truth was, nothing was wrong in his world. And I'm talking about, the guy was firing on all cylinders. He outgrew it. He outgrew the assignment, is exactly what happened. You see, boredom, it can become quite a leadership killer if you don't identify with it. It's almost like you're down in the doldrums, even a little bit sad, and you really just can't even put your finger on it. It doesn't show up like burnout. Sometimes we'll label it burnout because we don't know what to label it. But this boredom thing, or this, cruise control, if you will, it's sneakier than burnout. Burnout, it's got some real signs. You don't have to be an investigative person to identify burnout. But this one, it's a little bit sneakier. And I've been through these seasons, so I can relate. You're not tired. You're not even really frustrated. You're just comfortable. And that's where the danger starts. Comfort. Comfort masquerades as contentment. And here comes the slippery slope, right? It feels good, but it slowly erodes your edge. We need that edge. We need that leadership edge. Matter of fact, it was that edge that got us to where we are. And all of a sudden, we feel like maybe that edge is missing, and we're not really sure how do we handle this. I need that edge. That edge is the thing that drives me. When you've been doing something for years, you get really good at it. Maybe too good at it, if that's even possible. But here's when you get too good at it, you no longer have to prepare like you once had to prepare for excellence. You might even stop asking all the questions that you used to ask. Your curiosity isn't what it once was because you got this thing all figured out. And you even stop experimenting because you already know what works. I've been down this road. This is Groundhog Day. I know what works. I know what doesn't. It's rinse, repeat. I got the formula for this thing. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Got it. But that's exactly what we're talking about today. That's exactly when leadership begins to decay. Not from failure, but from familiar. Too familiar. You get bored. You're not challenged. So how do you know when you maybe have outgrown your role? I'm going to give you a few signs that I shared with Mark that day, and maybe they're going to sound familiar to you so that you can begin to diagnose this. The first thing is you start running on autopilot. I mean, you're basically sleeping while driving the car kind of thing, right? Because the car just knows where to go. You can do your job literally without effort, without thinking a whole lot. Meetings just kind of start to blur together. Challenges start to feel recycled at best. It's efficient, but it's very uninspiring. That might be how you're feeling, right? I think of people that have pushed through this, and I'm talking people at top of their class, which is who we should be modeling after, is people that have been the best at what they do. And when you're talking about people that are the best at what they do, you have to bring Tom Brady, the quarterback of the best quarterback in NFL history, into the conversation. You know, this guy could have retired no problem with 7 Super Bowls, and nobody could have said, wow, he had a lot more. I mean, the guy basically accomplished all there was to accomplish, but he didn't stop there. He kept pushing himself. But what did he do? He pushed into a new system, new coaches, new levels of discomfort, new players, new geography, a lot of new. He famously said this once. He said, if you're comfortable, you're not improving. I think that's true. The great ones that I've been around, they don't wait for the game to challenge them. They find new ways to challenge themselves. It might not be the game that challenges you because you've been playing the game so long. So you got to find new ways to challenge yourself. The other risk is that you stop seeking feedback. There was a day that you used to crave input. Now you mostly just nod through it because you already know all the answers. Somebody giving you feedback. Yeah, got it. Yeah, I already knew that. Yep, got it. And let me caution you, that's not wisdom. That's stagnation disguised as confidence. And this could be a big risk. The third thing is that you're more reactive than you are proactive. And this is a big concern because, look, you handle things well, which, again, the house isn't on fire. You're handling things well, but you rarely create new things. There's no innovation here. You're composed. You're not rattled, but nothing new is happening. There's no innovation. There's no creation. You're maintaining the machine, but you're not reinventing anything. And then lastly, you don't feel stretched anymore. And when you're not stretched, you shrink. And these are the risks. There's psychology behind these traits, and there's psychology behind this dynamic. The brain loves efficiency, loves it. I mean, it's what we're fighting for every day is efficiency. Our brain wants to conserve energy. So once you master something, it builds a habit that makes you more automatic, cruise control. That's great for survival. It's fantastic for survival, but it's terrible for innovation. And it's terrible for advancement, and it will definitely lead to stagnation. Leaders stop growing not because they don't care, but because they've trained their brains to play it safe. This is where we literally have to be creative with how we bring in healthy, underline, healthy disruption. You start believing things that aren't true. You know, the mantra of if it's not broke, we don't need to fix it. Look, I'll push harder next quarter. I'll give it a little more gusto next quarter. Hey, my team, they seem fine. They don't need me to change. They know what they're getting with me. These are all lies. These are all very unhealthy belief systems. But every time you say things like this, you drift another inch from creative edge. And when you're drifting from creative edge, it starts to deteriorate inside the organization. This is how great leaders that were once on the mountaintop end up losing everything because they don't reinvent themselves. It's important to understand that there is a lot at stake if this isn't put into check. And let me specifically talk to a certain person today. This is the person that you've been in the game a long time, and maybe you've been deemed as not promotable. Oh my, man, that's hard. So I'm just going to sit on this island and rot the rest of my career? Because, I mean, look, they're not saying I'm not promotable, but I've been up for the job 4 times. I've been passed over 4 times. Hey, listen, let me tell you a hard truth. Everybody has a capacity. Everybody has an aptitude. Not everybody's going to run a 4-minute mile. You may be at the fullest aptitude. And by the way, if that is you, congratulations. You should be very proud of yourself for reaching that level of potential. But that doesn't mean that we just get to sit back with our feet up on the desk and just hit cruise control and ride our career and our impact off into the sunset. No, we have to keep rebirthing, even if it's in the same job title. It's important to understand that there is so much at stake if we don't get this right. When leaders get bored, teams get stale. People will pick up on this. They will feel when your curiosity has cooled. And let me tell you this, to the mid-level leader that's listening, I talk to your bosses a lot. I break down succession planning models. I break down these well-placed people, or maybe they're not even where they need to be. And I'm quick to tell them, because I don't know you and I don't have any emotional attachment, but I got to give them some advice and tell them, you might need some fresh energy in that role. Because that guy, I mean, his results are average at best. They've been average for 7 years now. There's no innovation. They're not growing. You told me on a scale of 1 to 10 culture fit, you're giving them a 6. You need some fresh energy in that chair. That's what I'm telling your boss if you're a mid-level leader. That's what I'm telling them. People pick up on this. They feel it when your curiosity has cooled. Your team, they're gonna stop taking any risks because you've stopped modeling risk. It's not even there to be modeled. As the leadership goes, so goes the team, right? You're there, you're present, but you're certainly not engaged. You're still leading, but not inspiring. And I know this message isn't for everybody listening, but it's for somebody listening. And if it's not for you, look, put this one, in an archive, because you're going to run into this leader. And I hope this message is going to serve somebody. Because if we don't put this in check, what's going to happen is we start to self-sabotage, not consciously, but emotionally. You start picking fights with progress, literally. Like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm kind of bucking the system here a little bit. You dismiss new ideas because they don't fit the rhythm anymore, or your rhythm anymore. You can't help but to think of the brands like Kodak. If you're hearing this for the first time, this is going to blow your mind, because it did mine when I heard it for the first time. There's a myth out there that Kodak fell behind because they didn't adopt the technology to go in from film to digital. Do you know that's not true? Matter of fact, Kodak invented the digital camera. Did you know that? That's wild to think, isn't it? They invented it, which makes you think, well, why the demise? They refused to pursue the invention. Their fear was it was going to disrupt their film business. Well, they were right. They had this innovation literally sitting on the shelf, ready to go. But they got a little stagnant. They got a little comfortable. They were on the mountaintop. I mean, Kodak was an international brand. Nobody would have ever thought that Kodak would not be a brand in the United States of America. Kodak didn't lose to technology. They lost to comfort. Kodak didn't get beat by innovation. They got beat by their own comfort. That's how they got beat. We cannot allow that to happen. Whether you get a new title or more money or all the stuff, and those things are great. Man, if you're going to be in the leadership chair, let's realize there are people counting on us to lead them well. Maybe you're listening and you cling to the familiar because it feels like control. That's the whole paradox that we're talking about today. When leaders get bored, They start protecting what they built instead of building the next thing. Let's huddle around. This is me. We can't allow that to happen. We always got to be forward thinking, future thinking, what's next. So how do you fix it? How do you reignite the spark when everything feels fine? Just fine. Here's the four things that I told Mark at that coffee meeting that we had that I think will help you too. 1, chase curiosity. Ask more questions. Ask more questions than you answer questions. Reignite your learning a little bit. What are you listening to? What are you reading? Who are you talking to inside and outside of your industry? Number 2, raise your standards. You did it before. You had high standards. Raise them again. You may have outgrown your goals. What once stretched you, it now feels kind of small. Been there, done that. Set new ones. Bigger, scarier goals. Bigger, scarier standards. Because growth always lives just beyond the comfortable. Isn't it true? And then mentor. Mentor. Be a mentor. Build someone behind you. I will tell you, this is legacy and this is fulfilling. Teaching, I believe, reawakens passion. When you pour into someone else, it reconnects you with purpose. This is especially true if you are in the legacy phase of your journey. You know, the back 25% of your career, find people to mentor. It is very fulfilling. And then create a new challenge within the role that you're in. Maybe it's not another role that you need. Maybe it's reinventing the role that you're in. Don't wait for the promotion. Reinvent what you already have. Find a system, a process, a strategy, a person that could be rebuilt better. And turn your role into a laboratory again. That's what you did whenever it was your first love. Like you just couldn't wait to drum up a new formula and try a new thing. Turn that back around into that. Create new challenges for yourself to invigorate you. Here's the tough conversation as we close out this episode or the challenge that I have for you or question. Have you outgrown your role? Have you outgrown your role or have you just stopped growing in it? Because I'm going to tell you what I told Mark. The job didn't get smaller. Your curiosity got smaller. Now, look, I have a relationship with Mark, so, we can talk pretty candidly. And I hope the candidness that I have for you on this show is just that. I want to see you win. That's why I show up in the studio. The job didn't get smaller. Maybe your curiosity got smaller. You can't lead people to be passionate, to be innovative, to be forward-thinking if you've checked out on your own curiosity. That's very hard to do. Leaders lose influence, not because they lack authority. Your title carries authority. But it's because they've lost the awe factor. The awe factor matters. This is the moxie of a great, impactful leader. So maybe you're not burned out at all. And maybe that's good news to you. Maybe you're just bored. And maybe it's time to wake up your leadership again and reignite the flame that we know is burning deep inside there. Appreciate you all tuning in. Hey, if this episode challenged you, would you share it with somebody else? Maybe they're stuck in their role. Maybe this is the message that they need to hear to get out of the valley. Until next week, lean into leadership and keep turning that pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum Podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.